A 63-year-old Western West Virginia man, Mark Goldsmith, is behind bars accused of shooting his neighbour. On the evening of Tuesday the 15th of July, authorities responded to a residence on North River Avenue in Weston after receiving a report of a shooting. Upon arrival, officers found the victim, Gregory Borowski, lying in the front yard of Mark's property with a gunshot wound to his abdomen. Mark told police that Gregory came onto his property during a dispute and threatened him. Mark claimed he drew a pistol and ordered Gregory to leave. When Gregory allegedly shoved him, Mark fired one round, striking Gregory in the stomach. Gregory was transported to the Stonewall Jackson Memorial Hospital and later airlifted to Ruby Memorial Hospital for further treatment. Mark was arrested and charged with malicious assault. He's currently being held at the Central Regional Jail on a $100,000 bond. A 45-year-old homeless man is behind bars after police say he claimed to have been carrying a bomb inside a shoebox at a bank. At around 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 15th of July, authorities were dispatched to Wells Fargo at 3360 55th Street Northwest in Rochester, Minnesota. When officers arrived, they arrested Ryan Liskow and charged him with threats of violence, explosive incendiary device. Rochester police said that no explosive was located at the scene. 34-year-old Bowen Fladland is behind bars accused of killing his mother, 70-year-old Marlene Fladland, decapitating her and burying her body. On Tuesday the 8th of July, officers arrived at her home at 601 North Cloud Street in Clark, South Dakota, where they discovered Marlene's buried body in the front yard. A family member allegedly told investigators that they had spoken with Marlene on Saturday the 5th of July at 10:02 a.m, and she stated that her son Bowen had assaulted her. Detectives tracked Bowen down about 30 miles away in Watertown, and he agreed to speak with an officer. During a post-Miranda interview, Bowen admitted to assaulting his mother, kneeling on her neck until she was apparently deceased, and then used a tool to remove her head. Bowen was charged with first and second-degree murder, and he currently remains held at the Condington County Jail in Watertown on a $500,000 cash-only bond. Bowen has a history of family violence and was accused of attacking his mother in their home in 2023. Marlene told investigators she woke up to Bowen screaming and went to his room to comfort him when he grabbed her by the throat and pushed her onto a bed. She said she became lightheaded. The following morning, he attacked her again and pushed her up against a refrigerator and then squeezed her throat using both of his hands. She was able to break free and run into the bathroom. She heard Bowen digging through the silverware drawer in the kitchen. Marlene opened the bathroom door and saw Bowen holding two butter knives, one in each hand, and he stated that he was going to kill her. Bowen pleaded no contest to aggravated domestic assault for the 2023 incident, received a 10-year suspended sentence and was placed on supervised probation. Bowen has yet to enter a plea on the murder charges. A man is behind bars for allegedly fatally shooting another man outside a fast food restaurant. At around 12:35 a.m. on Tuesday the 8th of July, authorities responded to a McDonald's at 178 US Highway 64 in Ocoee, Tennessee, and reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man laying in the parking lot of the restaurant with at least one gunshot wound. Medics transported him to Bradley Medical Center, where he later died. The victim was identified as 52-year-old Mickey Lee Goodman. After interviewing witnesses and obtaining surveillance footage, detectives identified the shooting suspect as 34-year-old Jayson Wentworth. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said that Jayson and Mickey were involved in an altercation that turned deadly, with Jayson allegedly pulling a gun and shooting Mickey. It's unclear what the dispute was about. Authorities went to Jayson's residence, and he was taken into custody without incident. He is charged with second-degree murder, and he remains held at the Polk County Jail on a $750,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 61-year-old man is accused of fatally striking a 26-year-old woman and injuring another pedestrian with his pickup truck before fleeing the scene. At 10:47 p.m. on Thursday the 3rd of July, authorities responded to the intersection of Sunland Park Drive and Appaloosa Drive in Sunland Park, New Mexico, on reports of a fatal hit-and-run. Officers learned that two pedestrians were crossing the road when they were struck by a pickup truck traveling at a high rate of speed. One of the victims was transported to the hospital for critical injuries, while the other 26-year-old Graciela Sahs died at the scene. Graciela and the male victim had finished buying fireworks at a stand and began walking south when a maroon Ford Ranger struck them both and fled the scene on Sunland Park Drive. Authorities issued a be on the lookout alert for the vehicle. On the afternoon of Saturday, the 5th of July, Sunland Park police found the Ford Ranger damaged underneath a tarp at her home. Officials reportedly concluded that the damage was consistent with a hit-and-run crash scene. State police identified the suspected driver as 61-year-old Vicente Vasquez. He allegedly told a relative that he had killed someone near the casino. During an interview, Vicente reportedly admitted that he thought he had struck a dog and did not stop after the impact because he was tired. He also allegedly said he covered the vehicle with a tarp to hide the damage. Vicente was arrested and charged with homicide by vehicle, knowingly leaving the scene of an accident with great bodily harm or death, failure to give information and render aid, failure to give immediate notice of an accident, and tampering with evidence. He remains held at the Donna Ana County Detention Center without bond. 49-year-old Terri Niner is accused of fatally stabbing her 32-year-old daughter Ayla Mangan during an argument. Ayla's stepfather, 52-year-old Francis Niner, Terri's husband, also faces charges. At 9:35 a.m. on the 10th of July, police responded to a 911 call of a stabbing at a residence at 2327 20th Street Northeast in Canton, Ohio, where they found paramedics treating Ayla in the backyard after she was stabbed in the back with a large knife. Medics transported her to Cleveland Clinic Mercy Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Police located a short sword on the ground near a bedroom door and a trail of blood drops between the back door and the living room. When asked about the sword, Francis told police he collects knives and kept the sword on the wall. Authorities said that Terri, Ayla's mother, called 911 following the stabbing. In the call, Terri initially said her daughter was playing with a knife and asked for an ambulance. She can be heard begging for assistance for her daughter as Francis applies pressure to Ayla's stab wound. "Please help us, please," she said. Terri later tells the dispatcher that she and her daughter are always fighting over some dumb stuff. She said her daughter grabbed a knife off the wall while they were fighting and came at her. She said her daughter has a tendency to throw things. The dispatcher asked, "Did you cut her?" Terri said, "No, I grabbed a knife from her, and she went to throw herself backwards because she's autistic. And when she went to throw herself backwards, I got her, and I thought it only cut her a little bit," she said. She said that Ayla lives with her biological father, William Mangan, in the 1900 block of Midway Avenue Northeast, and that Ayla had stopped by their house. At around 3 p.m, Terri was arrested and charged with murder, felonious assault and domestic violence. She remains held at the Stark County Jail on a $500,000 bond. Francis was arrested for one charge of obstructing justice, accused of providing false information to protect Terri, and is held on a $75,000 bond. On Monday, the 7th of July 2025, an Akron, Ohio woman was convicted on charges of child endangering and felonious assault. Prosecutors said that 43-year-old Angela Smith pleaded no contest to allegations including starving and abusing a child. The abuse reportedly occurred between 2020 and 2024. The child, now 10 years old, was between the ages of about 5 and 9 during the alleged incidents. Angela is due for sentencing on the 11th of September. Prosecutors say her co-defendant, 48-year-old Jayson Smith, is facing the same charges. His trial is set for the 29th of July. A teenager is behind bars after allegedly stabbing a mother multiple times. At 9:36 a.m. on Sunday, the 13th of July, authorities responded to the 2500 block of Hollywood Avenue in Shreveport, Louisiana on reports of a stabbing. When officers arrived, they made contact with the victim, who said her 19-year-old daughter Trista Schroeder stabbed her and then taken custody of a 1-year-old child, whom the victim is a legal guardian of. The victim said that all of this happened while she was driving near the intersection of Hollywood and Hearn Avenues. Trista allegedly pulled out a pocket knife, stabbed her mother multiple times in the right arm, and then struck her in the face several times in the presence of the child. Her child was later safely returned to the custody of the victim. The pocket knife believed to have been used in the attack was found on Trista when she was arrested. Trista was booked into the Shreveport City Jail on charges of domestic abuse battery with a dangerous weapon, simple kidnapping, and domestic abuse battery with child endangerment. The investigation into the matter continues,